Were you born around 2 millennia ago? Do you hate Valentine's Day but love to have sex and not get pregnant? Do you love to have sex but just can't get in the mood? Then you must absolutely not try any of these age-old methods prescribed in the Kamasutra. But hey, it's fun to learn about them anyway. Before we get into it, don't forget that modern medicine is an absolute boon to mankind, and don't try any of these at home. So, do you want to learn what kind of aphrodisiacs ancient Indians were using? To clarify, aphrodisiacs can have a myriad of objectives. In the context that I always knew them as, it was something that got you into the mood of sex, rather than something that aided the sex itself. So, your champagnes, oysters, chocolates. Classic Valentine's Day crap. But as it happens, aphrodisiacs are substances that not only increase your sexual desire, attraction, and pleasure, but also ones that influence your sexual behavior and performance. Since the Kamasutra wants you to get the most amount of pleasure out of sex, it has a lot of recommendations on it. The Ayurvedic texts, on the other hand, focus more on helping you to get it up and creating a baby. This branch of Ayurveda is called Vajikarana Tantra or Vrisha Chikitsa, and aphrodisiacs are called Vajikarana or Vrisha interchangeably. Vrisha means a bull, and an Indian bull is supposed to be able to impregnate several cows in a single day. So these aphrodisiacs are supposed to turn the man into a sexually charged bull. Some of them are also to revitalize their health in order to restore their libido. Ayurveda can be a bit of a slow burn sometimes. Medicinal plants were categorized based on their medicinal properties, and depending on the desired effect, different concoctions or potions would be made. In order to make this potion palatable, it would be mixed with either honey, ghee, or a little bit of milk. For example, I found a drug called Shukra Stambhaka. Shukra means semen, by the way, and it included chamomile, seeds of the tulsi plant, and some sugar. And it was supposed to cure premature ejaculation. And different Ayurvedic gurus have different recommended doses. So this is the clinical part of Indian aphrodisiacs, and frankly, a bit boring for this video. To get to the fun bits, you need to look at the Kamasutra. In the video that I made last year, I talked about the wooing process that the Kamasutra deals with. But this time, let's look at the aphrodisiacs. Quite a few of them are milk-based and fairly benign, like the pint of milk with a little bit of sugar that a newlywed bride takes with her to the honeymoon suite in order to consummate the marriage, aka Suhagrat. But some of them are quite out there. For example, to bend a woman to one's will, a man may anoint his palace with a salve made out of amla, or Indian gooseberries. Now, I don't know if you've ever had amla before, but I call them sour bombs. So, good luck with that. Next one that amused me was to attract any woman, you must procure the remains of a kite, the bird, which has died of natural causes. Grind it into a paste, mix it with cow dung ash and honey, and apply it to your body before taking a bath. And it will guarantee that any woman would be attracted to you. Well, can't be much worse than most Axe body sprays out there. I could keep reading these outlandish recommendations for the whole video, but I'm just going to leave a link to the English translation of the Kamasutra in the description below, and you can have a field day with it. Good luck if you're a vegan though, because most of these recommendations involve sourcing a dead animal, crushing its bones, and mixing it with either honey or milk. So now that you're in the mood to get down and dirty, don't forget about contraception. The Kamasutra doesn't explicitly talk about safe sex at all, which is quite curious since it encourages sex between unmarried people and not always with the intention of procreation. It does have some recommendations on how to avert a man, but that's not quite the same. The Ayurvedic texts actually deal a lot more with contraceptives. One of them is, of course, abstinence, but there are quite a few recommendations on what kind of food women must eat during their menstrual cycle in order to slow down ovulation and also use them as spermicide. Flowers of the hibiscus tree ingested with rice water or jaggery, 3-year-old stale jaggery, or, your usual concoction of kadamba leaves and feet of jungle flies, just to name a few. And Other tangible methods are vaginal fumigation using neem wood, balms made out of rock salt and oil, and roots of the datura collected on the 14th day of a lunar month. It's very important. There are also a few herbal recommendations that work much like the morning after pill or Plan B pill, such as eating cardamom or mint leaves right after sex. Now, it doesn't take much to recognize that none of these prescriptions are ever that effective. I mean, if someone showed up with a Harry Potter-like potion made out of jungle flies, perhaps you'd be really impressed by how much effort they've put in and get into bed with them, or be repulsed and run away, in which case it's a really effective contraceptive. But you know what I mean. And I don't mean to diss the Ayurvedic text or the Kamasutra at all. If anything, I think it's really interesting to learn about these things, because even if they're not effective, it really shows that they were trying to understand how sex works and trying to find ways in controlling it or aiding it depending on the desired effect, which I think is really cool. But that being said, these texts are also fairly heteronormative and patriarchal in nature, and were only available to a very select few classes of the Indian society. And to wrap it up in all seriousness, if you do plan to engage in some bhog tonight, perhaps stick to modern medicine and use proper protection. And if you like this video, don't forget to let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and maybe subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Let's call it a Valentine's Day gift. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye!